A teenage boy who has X gene screams out of anger and destroys the ceiling and walls of the party hall. And the boys who were bullying him are thrown here and there. Fortunately for Andy, his sister Lauren rescues him and takes him home. Reed Strucker, a district attorney, tells Lorna, who has mutant abilities, that she's been sentenced to the Mutant Detention Center because she attacked the police. Reed says that he will reduce the charges in exchange for her cooperation. To further manipulate her, he shows her the result of her pregnancy test, which is positive. Reed leaves the decision up to her. Upon returning home, Lauren tells her mother about what happened. She becomes anguished because mutants are targeted by the government to maintain peace and avoid chaos. She tells her that she, too, is a mutant who creates force fields, and if it wasn't for her power, she wouldn't have been able to get herself and Andy out of the mess. Abruptly, the doorbell rings when Kate, the mother and a nurse, opens the door to find two of the Sentinel Services officers. The officer pushes Kat inside. Andy, who's unable to contain his anger, is about to blow them off, but Lauren creates an air shield and flees with her family before they are arrested. On a phone call, Kate tells her husband, Reed, that their kids have genetic mutations and that the Sentinel Services officers were about to arrest them. Had the kids not used their powers, they would have been arrested. Reed receives the news with shock because he has been building a mutant network investigation case for a long time. The family gathers in a diner on Atlanta City's outskirts. He tells them that once their case has reached a federal agency, they won't spare an effort to arrest them. They must find a way to escape across the borders where the law against the mutants is less strict. Reed calls Marcos, who stays at the mutant underground headquarters. He offers him that he will free his girlfriend, Lorna, in exchange for getting his family out in the safe. When he learns that his wife is pregnant, they agree to meet at a specified diner. Marcos indicates his place to Reed by playing with photons and light. He says he needs the kids tonight at the location he shares. On a pitch-black night, Reed and his family meet Marcos. He says that he will hand them over to some of the mutants who will smuggle them out to Mexico. Suddenly, they hear the sirens of the police cars. Jace and his squad could locate them. Fortunately, two of the mutants arrive and help them through their way out. But Jace orders his men to release the weapons, small, fast robots with strong tentacle grips. John is caught by one of them, but Marcos frees him off its clamping grip. They run fast, but into a dead end. Marcos yells at Clarice to use her powers. She opens a portal to navigate through, and Andy uses his ability to destroy the hunters. Unfortunately, Reed stays behind. He gets an immobilization round in his leg, and the portal gets shrunk and disappears. At the headquarters, John and Marcos argue over planning together for such an operation, when Lauren rushes in saying that Clarice's condition is exacerbating. Uncontrollably, she opens a portal where a car slides toward them. They get themselves out of its route. Clarice gasps out of pain, and once again she reopens the gap at the same place. People with shotguns appear from the other side, and Lauren succeeds in closing it. And because they need medications and equipment, Marcos hurries with Kate to the hospital. Under the pretext of sustaining a wound, Marcos gets checkups, and Kate furtively carries all the bottles and medicines she needs. The police have arrived, and Kate tells Marcos they must leave quickly. The police chase them, and Marcos blocks them for a short while until they escape. In the headquarters, Clarice gets into severe seizures, opening a portal, and Lauren can't hold anymore. From the other side, the army is ready to shoot, but Andy strikes them away, throwing Clarice off the table. The portal is closed, only for more to open at once. John decides they must leave the headquarters because it's about to fall apart. When Kate reaches Clarice through one of the portals and injects her, finally, she wakes up, and the portals vanish away. In the Sentinel Services Department, Jace shows Reed that they're interrogating his mother. They want him to cooperate in exchange for not harming her. But Reed knows the ins and outs of the interrogation. This means that the ball is in his court. He's the one who draws up the agreement. He says, firstly, his mother must return home safely, and secondly, they must leave his kids in peace, and thirdly, he'll get his lawyer. Jace agrees on his terms, but he must hand over the mutant underground to them. Finding no other option, Reed is forced to agree. Marcos says they can use Claris's powers and get Lorna out of prison, but waiting for Claris until she regains her health may take some time. Out of his agreement with Jace, Reed meets the bartender, Fade. After a brief encounter, he lets him into a place from where he'll be taken to Marcos. And Jace and his men are monitoring Reed on the security cameras. Inside a van, Reed has a change of heart after thinking about the innocent woman and her mutant daughter. He tells Fade that the Sentinel Services has put a tracker on his leg. He slides the side door open and jumps off the van, disappearing onto the ground. Despite disapproving of her suggestion, Sonia goes to Claris and blows a mauve smoke into her thoughts. Her spell helps infuse her with images that she's in a relationship with John. After Reed's agreement is cancelled, a doctor named Roderick, who conducts experiments on mutants, calls Jace. He suggests that Jace provides him access to the mutants, and he helps him arrest them more easily. The doctor seems interested in the Strucker siblings in particular. Jace refuses to agree with him and hangs up. In the headquarters, all the mutants gather together. Joan, Marcus, and Kate suggest that they attack the vehicles that will transport Reed and Lorna to an ultra-security mutant detention facility. But since all the mutants are afraid of the Sentinels, they refuse to participate, except for a few. Marcos meets Carmen. He asks her to provide him with time to transport 2 mutants from the Sentinel Services. And the day has come. In a convoy of military vehicles, Reed and Lorna are confined in a bus. On the other side, John is with Claris, whereas Andy and Lauren are overlooking the route of the bus underneath, in preparation for their combined attack. And Marcos is with Sonia and Harry in case something goes wrong. In minutes, the convoy arrives. The siblings don't hit the bus tire in the agreed-upon location, and that changes the whole plan. By inspecting the car tire, Jace learns that this is the work of the mutants. Harry and Marcos move for the backup plan. Claris tries to open the loophole next to the bus, but something is blocking her from doing so, and John isn't able to use his powers either. The same happens with Harry. He appears in front of the guards, who shoot once they spot him. John realizes that the one who disrupts the mutant abilities is a mutant whose name is Pulse, who disables all of their powers, systems, and electronics they use. But as he remembers, Pulse was arrested, and he must be dead. To rescue Harry, Marcus draws attention to himself, and Sonia hurries to save him. And Jace commands to transfer Reed and Lorna to another safe vehicle. Reed takes his chances. He beats the guards and tries to untie Lorna. But since her power is limited, the guards take control of the situation again. John knocks out the soldier who is with Pulse and gets rid of him. Then he confronts Pulse and beats him until the latter faints. Meanwhile, everyone regains their powers, even Lorna. Here, Reed asks her to unscrew the nails that secure the tracker on his leg. Lorna frees him and gets rid of the guard. As for Claris, she opens a portal and saves Harry and Sonia. John notices a strange mark on Pulse's hand. He carries out the plan to rescue Reed and Lorna, who got themselves out of the vehicle. A speeding car comes, and they all get in it and run away. To understand the reason behind Jace's hatred for the mutants, let's go back to a time when there weren't any laws against the mutants. He was sitting with his wife and daughter playing nearby. The mutants were protesting, demanding their rights. He noticed that the mutant and the policeman were in a clash, and before rescuing his daughter, an explosion killed her. At present, the team meets in the headquarters. John tells them that Pulse was there with the police and was the one who disrupted their powers. In the headquarters, Reed looks at the work of the Sentinel Services from the mutants' monitors. He mentions that they must be up to something serious and extremely important, because he noticed they were sending forces upon trivial reports. He brings a map and marks the locations of these reports. And after studying these locations, they know that they mark a siege for the mutants. In an armored vehicle, Jace comes in Lorna and Marco's way. And because she hates what he did to her while she was imprisoned, Lorna uses her powers to take their weapons. She puts a collar around his neck as he used to do with her. Lorna tells Marcos that this is their chance to learn from him what had happened to their friend Pulse. Jace says that he won't tell them anything. The problem is that the Sentinel Services forces are also arriving. Sonya rushes to use her powers on Jace. In his memories, she finds Pulse's file. And more, she sees a building with the same logo they have found on his wrist. The forces attack with gas bombs, and Marcos and his team escape the place. They leave Jace behind them. The memories run fast in his brain. At their safe place, Sonya says that Jace has information about Pulse, but she can't distinguish the building from Pulse's tattoo. She sketched the building, and once Reed sees it, he tells them that anyone who enters this place becomes unknown and disappears. When the meeting ends, Clarice speaks with Sonya and asks if she used her powers on her like she did with Jace, because she sometimes feels unfamiliar feelings come into her memory that she knows nothing about. Sonya admits what she has done, and Clarice becomes disturbed. John asks Clarice to open a portal for them in the Sentinel Services building, but upon learning what they've done to her, she refuses. He tells her that he warned Sonya not to use her powers on anyone. Clarice becomes upset with him. Although Clarice has left them, John holds a meeting telling everyone that they need to check what's going on inside that building. And Andy says that he can help them get through the inside of the building. And because it's the only solution they have right now, Reed approves. The next day, Marcos leads the Sentinel Services operation, and John takes care of the underground mutant community. After they're out, John secures the exits and entrances, and Lorna trains the youngsters on how to properly use their powers. At the Sentinel Services, Jace is back at work. He calls Roderick. It seems that he's going to agree to his previous proposal regarding the mutants because he wants to avenge his daughter. Roderick meets Jace at his office, and the first thing the doctor asks of him is the Strucker siblings' access. Marcos, with his team, reaches the building in Jace's memory. They reach the parking area as Reed planned. There, Andy breaks down a wall. They go up the stairs and then search in the drawers. They take files and flash devices with them. Then they hurry out when the alarm siren goes on. At the headquarters, John tells Sage and Shatter that the Sentinel Services could take over one of their hideouts. Half of the mutants manage to flee, and they're on the way to their place. Marcos calls him saying that they're on the way, but 2 cars are chasing them. John tells Kate and the others about the operation update, and he wants them to come up with suggestions to help them out. Lauren suggests they should use Wes, who creates delusional realities. With Lorna, she goes to Wes. Then the 3 head out to implement the plan, but they find that the Sentinel Services set up a trap for them on their road. Lorna calls Marcos and says they must keep going forward and never stop. She then asks Lauren to make a bridge underneath the vehicle, and when they pass the trap, Wes will create delusions that they're more than one car. In this way, they'll pass through them, and they succeeded. At Sentinel Services, Jace meets Dr. Roderick, who tells him that their old methods aren't working anymore with the mutants. He suggests deploying the mutants for his advantage and implanting them in his army. He shows a sample of his work. When he gives an order to one of the mutants, he attacks his cellmate. With John, he finds Clarice and convinces her to get back to them. She says that she's searching for her family. John offers his help, but once they're done, she should come back with him to their place. She agrees. Then they reach where she grew up and spent her childhood. The moment they step inside, John traces back what just happened and envisions the Sentinel Services forces who came here. They hurry inside the house where they find it all messed up with blood all over the place. John comes back with Clarice after knowing what has happened to her family. She decided to work with them. John asks Sage what conclusions she reached after examining the files they took from their last operation. She says that they are all files of mutants and experiments, including the one conducted on Pulse, and that this building is not affiliated with the government, but rather with a private company named Trask. Upon hearing the name, Reed says that it had shut down in 2006 and that his father used to work with them. He tells his family that his father, Otto, is still alive. Reed asks John that they should meet his father. He may provide them with useful information. John agrees, but he has to do something, then they'll visit his father. John tells Marcos that another mutant community has been attacked. They want to help them out. They reach where the raid took place and find them in the back of a truck. They hid themselves. One of the mutants discloses to John that one of them acts strangely. When John reveals her hand, he finds the same mark that was on Pulse, and the woman immediately attacks him. They work together to paralyze her speed, and they lock her down. And John suggests that they need to move faster in their plan and collect more information about Trask. Reed and John head out to his father's place. The man is completely against the mutants and doesn't want to reveal anything about his work with the company. Reed says that they're hunting the mutants and experimenting on them, and among them are his grandchildren. Upon hearing this, Otto agrees to help. He asks about his kids' abilities. Reed says that Lauren can control the air and make armor out of it, and Andy easily destroys anything in front of him. His father replies saying that he has failed in his experiments to protect his kids. Reed doesn't understand what he is saying. Otto explains that his grandparents were mutants, but they used their powers against the humans. They had committed massacres. They were able to combine their mutant abilities to create a powerful force that had the potential to blow up everything around them. And when he learned the truth about his parents, he escaped from them and joined this company to find a treatment for this genetic mutation. He tells him that he was a mutant too, but he repressed his X gene and succeeded in turning him into a normal human. Reed remembers that period when his father used to tell him that he was sick. Their talk is interrupted by John jumping off to see through the window the cars of the Sentinel services. Roderick concluded that after stealing the files, they must come to Otto, and he injects Pulse to put him on the hook for whatever he asks him. Inside, Otto tells Reed that he knows what to do with them, but he must save the world from his kids. When they meet, Otto explains that there is no one in the house. However, Roderick insists on searching. Here Otto uses his powers and stops them. Even Pulse cannot confront him. He sacrifices himself and knocks down the whole place. Roderick has severely been injured, while Reed and John hurry down to find Otto dead and Pulse is taking his last breath. In the headquarters, the team is trying to talk to the mutant, Chloe. Andy and Lauren manage to stabilize her, and Kate injects her. Then they tie her to a table. She comes to her senses, but it seems that she's about to die. She wants to say something, but is unable as there's a blockage preventing her from speaking to them. Kate summons Esm, who helped them find her in the first place. Esm gets inside her head and finds the name of Trask Industries, where they conduct the experiments on the mutants. But she can't go further because Chloe dies. The next day, Reed tells Kate that his father, Otto, has died, and how he told him that his 2 kids inherited the genetic mutation from him, but his father treated him and made him a normal human. John holds a meeting with his team, and Esm tells them that they must go to Trask Industries to free the mutants from there. At night, Andy finds a book in the library about their family history. They find the massacres they committed and that they worked for a terrorist organization. Now, Lauren doesn't want to know about the bloody background they have. Because the matter is occupying their thoughts, the first thing in the morning Reed and Kate do is to wake up their kids. They tell them to merge their mutant abilities. They agree, holding each other's hands, and commence the experiment that results in an unbelievable ultimate power. To prevent any destruction, Reed separates their hands. Lauren says that she could penetrate through everyone's mind. The family discusses the matter. Andy suggests they practice more, They might be able to control this power and use it for good. But Reed refuses, saying that it's dangerous. Lorna tells Marcos that they should attack the Trask Industries. He replies that they do not know the security system there. Esm intervenes and says they can use Andy and Lauren's powers. The team meets, and Marcos suggests what Esm said because that's the only solution. Reed and Kate, having no other choice, agree. Then the team leaves for the building, with Esm there. They disperse into several groups, John and Marcos, with the explosives until they reach the skirt of the building. The Reed family, along with Clarice and Sonia, to the electrical power unit, and Sage disrupts the security cameras. And Clarice opens a portal for them, from inside the car to the building. The Sentinel services notice something strange in their monitoring systems. Jace suspects a possible attack on Trask's company. He gives orders for the forces to prepare and go there. At this moment, Andy with the team enters the station to carry out the plan. John alerts everyone that they only will have 3 minutes. That's why they have to attack during the power outage. All this, and they have no idea what problem they're going to face, because Jace has arrived with his men to the company. Kate is shocked when she sees the Hunter's robots on the surveillance cameras. She warns them that they must run away. They try to escape, but the Hunters have arrived. The robots catch Clarice before she opens the portal, and the sirens have been released in the company. Marcos and John understand that the mission has failed, and through his mutant abilities, John hears the police saying that the mutants have been trapped inside the building. Then he orders his team to escape before they are caught. Inside the building, Sonia sacrifices to save Lauren and Andy. But because they are completely trapped, Lauren suggests they combine their powers, and Andy responds to her. The power of their ancestors is unleashed, but suddenly Andy stops. He says that they will kill a lot of people. Unfortunately, Jace and his men arrive and arrest them. And to avoid them from using their powers, they wrap collars around their necks. All this while Reed and Kate are watching their 2 kids yet cannot do anything about it. In the headquarters, Lorna says that they must start a war now. But Reed refuses since his kids are locked down at the Sentinel Services Detention Center. John intervenes and says that they should think calmly. They will send spies to see what the situation is there, and accordingly, they will take action. In the Sentinel Services building, Jace is interrogating Sonia. He is upset with her because of what she did to him. He says that he won't do anything to her. She will be subjected to a program called Hound, in which Roderick conducts experiments on the mutants. Jace contacts Roderick, who has just been discharged from the hospital after the explosion. He tells him that he will send him several mutants to conduct experiments on them. Knowing the extent of their powers and their history, Roderick emphasizes the Strucker siblings. In the headquarters, with Esm eavesdropping on Reed and Kate, she uses her ability to see what is happening to their kids in the Sentinel Services Detention Center. Then she tells them that Reed should seek help from Jace, who might help him in this regard. Roderick tells Lauren and Andy that he knows about their past, their ancestors, and their tremendous mutant abilities. Then he asks the guards to take them to the laboratory to conduct the experiments. The guards take them into a metal room with bizarre walls. Roderick asks them to combine their powers to be able to measure them, but they refuse. To terrorize them, he brings Sonia and Clarice, and shows them how easily he can shoot somebody for his benefit. Then he kills Sonia. They hold each other's hands, and the scientist behind the computer says they must stop, otherwise they'll destroy everything. That's true. Reed and Kate become convinced by Esm's words. So, they meet Jace in his house, and Esm tells the team about that, saying that she has read Reed and Kate's thoughts. They intend to ask Jace to put their kids in a regular prison instead of taking them to Trask Industries. They draw a plan if Reed succeeds in convincing Jace. They'll attack the vehicles that transport the mutants from the company. At this moment, Reed tells Jace that the experiments being conducted in laboratories are illegal, in which the mutants are subjected to Roderick's inhuman activities, which turn them into cyborgs that die shortly afterward. He replies they deserve everything that happens to them because they belong to a terrorist organization. They killed his daughter as well. But after they leave, Jace's wife sympathizes with them and says if they imprison their kids, their daughter will not come back to life. Her words hit him so deeply that he goes to Trask and meets Roderick. He tells him that their agreement is void and that he wants him to hand over all the mutants. Through the surveillance cameras, Jace notices that Sonya is not there. He inquires about her, and Roderick responds that she has undergone some experiments, and during that, she died. Jace doesn't believe him but decides to get the rest out first. In the headquarters, John says that Reed has convinced Jace and that the mutants' vehicles will leave the building soon. Therefore, they plan to reach there as quickly as possible. After they leave, Reed and Kate arrive, and Harry tells them about the matter. They learn that Esm played both sides. Jace leaves the company with the cars, and Esm shocks Marcos while he is watching over him. She controls Jace's assistant and directs him to shut off all the devices that prevent the mutants from using their powers. Then she directs the driver to kill a man of the Sentinel services and orders the assistant to kill the driver and then kill himself. Then she directs one of the men to explode his car. And two cloned Esm get out of the vehicle. The three together take over all the soldiers. They operate a massacre without even moving from their place. And the rest of the mutants are liberated, with Andy, Lauren, and Clarice. The next day, the three Esms are at an office talking about the recent incident. They belong to a secret organization, the same organization that Andy and Lauren's grandparents belong to. The man tells them they have failed in their mission. They must destroy Trask as soon as possible. The twins say they have a plan, and soon, Roderick and Trask will be over. In a short while, Shatter tells everyone in the headquarters that there is a danger coming to them. After that, they see the twins in front of them. The Esms ask Marcos and John to cooperate with them to destroy Trask and the Program Hound, but no one responds to them because they cannot trust them anymore. One of the Esms says they have Roderick's plans and all the information they need from the inside. All they want from them is to carry out the attack, but John expels the twins. After that, Reed and Kate decide to leave for Mexico. They pack their things and bid farewell to Marcos. After some time, they reach another hideout where the mutants help with the immigration across the borders. On the same night, Esma meets with Lorna. She tells her that her father was the king of the organization, which means that she should take his place. Lorna is cajoled in her trap. The next day, she convinces Marcos and John about Esma's suggestion. She says they're gifted with all the powers. They should attack the Sentinel services. But Marcos doesn't buy it, because in such cases, many people from both sides would die. Sage interrupts their meeting. She says that the Sentinel services have an important plan, and that's their raid on the hideout where Reed's family are staying right now, where Roderick uses two of the mutants in the attack. Wes is trying to camouflage things in front of the Sentinel services so that they cannot reach them. And because of the powers of the two mutants, they're able to arrest everyone inside. John and the team were able to rescue Wes, Reed, and his family at the last moment. Then Clarice leads them to the woods. Then Andy points at a path that they should take. At its end, they find the three Esms. Marcos asks the twins from where they know their place. They reply that they have sources within the Sentinel services, and they warn that the recent attack is just the beginning. Next time, they'll send more united mutants. They ask to cooperate with them to eliminate this program. John and Marcos are reconsidering uniting with them. After that, the twins go back to their center. They inform the man there about the outcome of what happened. They were behind the attack because they reported to the Sentinel services about Reed's family hideout. Their goal was to change John and Marco's opinion. And they have succeeded. Now they will execute their plan. The next day, they return to the headquarters and tell John and the rest that there will soon be a meeting of the forces who are against the mutants, and Roderick will be among the attendees. She suggests it is their chance to attack them. Meanwhile, Sage and Reed search for any information related to his father's experiments. Sage says that Trask is also researching the same topic. They're investigating anyone with relation to Otto. She finds Reed's mother's name on the list as well. Reed asks his kids Lauren and Andy to help their grandmother before Trask's men reach her. The four head out to where she works. There, Reed and Kate ask the kids to wait for them in the car until they come back. Inside the company, Reed and Kate find his mother and tell her that the Sentinel Services will arrest her if she doesn't come with them. At the beginning, she refuses, but after that she agrees. Outside, Andy confronts the men and easily strikes them away. Andy, living the hell lately, isn't able to control his powers. He walks towards the men, but Lauren stops him. The two fight, and equally are thrown into the opposite direction. When Reed and the rest come from inside, they hurry up to the car without noticing their kids. They stop at a gas station. Reed asks his mother if she knows anything about his father's research. She says that she doesn't know what he used to do or anything about his experiments, but she knows this doctor who used to work with him, and when he was sick, she used to look after him. Her name was Madeline Risman. Reed suggests they go back to the headquarters, but his mother is determined to go to her friend, so they bid her farewell, and everyone went on their way. At this time, John and the team go to the building that Esm told them about. Clarice opens the portal for them to enter the building. As for Lorna and Esm, they watch their backs from the outside. Lorna causes some confusion and disrupts the communications in the area. John and his team are desperate to kidnap Roderick. John, with the gifts he has, says that he is on his way to them. As soon as he comes out of the elevator, they knock down the guards, but he takes one of the children in front of him as a shield, then he runs away. More guards pour in, and the team decides to escape. The Sentinel Services arrive at the scene, and the Special Forces chase them, but Lorna dodges them and cuts off their routes. Roderick takes advantage of the incident and speaks with the senator, the owner of the conference. He convinces him to agree to the regulations he wants against the mutants, and that they have to escape from here before any other attack, and a plane waiting for them to leave the city. However, Reed asks Sage to use her powers and search for Madeline, whom his mother mentioned to him. As for Kate, she's with her kids and asks them what happened. Andy replies that Lauren prevented him from attacking members of the Sentinel Services. He leaves them frustrated. Lauren tells her mother that Andy has changed, but they don't know that the hell doors are about to open. Roderick has two mutants who can spot where Reed's mother had escaped, plus the path that's taken by Reed and his family. Jace appoints some men to find the grandmother, and he goes with his team behind Reed and his family to the hideout. John arrives with his team. They're upset, as what they did will draw attention to them as criminals who break the law. That's why Esm chooses Lorna as easy prey, that she must act and get rid of Roderick. She talks about the child who is inside her. He will come soon to this world. She has to listen to what they tell her and make the world a much safer place for her baby. And for the first time, Jace reaches the headquarters. He calls the director wanting his permission to attack because they have found the secret hideout for the mutants community. The director agrees and tells him to use all the power he needs. When the mutant who secures the place sees them, he increases his powers and uses them as if they were the ones who want to flee the place. But Jace insists that they should move forward and attack the place. The mutant informs everyone in the headquarters that they have been exposed. Shatter tells everyone that they should be ready. Sage burns down all the data they have, while Kate takes the children with her to escape. They ride with Fade, who becomes invisible, and takes them to a secure place. But the Sentinel Services reach them, and the rest of the mutants in the headquarters are trapped. They secure the place and shut down all the entrances. Because there is no way out, Kate suggests they have to dig a way out. Reed picks the safe, which is part of the ground. If it is dug, They may go to a place far away from the Sentinel services. Kate, with the mutants, reaches the safe, and with the help of Shatter, it breaks down. Reed works through the rest of the mutants and allocates each for a task to buy more time and let the Sentinel services wait longer. Jace approaches with a whole squad of mutants. He gives his men to carry out the first attack, and because they're a small number of humans, they manage to stop them easily. Then, Jace gives orders to the mutants to attack. Fortunately, Kate's plan succeeded. She tells Reed and the rest that they need to escape. They all go down to pass the hole. But the problem is that the Sentinel services will know about their getaway hole. For this reason, Andy and Lauren suggest using their combined powers to destroy the place, so there won't be a trace behind them indicating their whereabouts. The parents agree and wait for them outside. After that, the entire place is wiped out, and Jace isn't able to know anything about the place. At the base of the twins, Marcos says that he cannot find Lorna, and two of Esm's are missing. Marcos tells Esm that if she doesn't speak up and reveal his girlfriend's whereabouts, he will kill her. We do not know how she is afraid, but anyway, she tells them the whole truth. And then they go to her place. Meanwhile, Lorna is at the airport with the twins looking at a plane, and Roderick is inside with the senator. In a short while, Marcos and the team arrive, but Lorna stops them and puts barbed wires around them. Then, she unleashes a tremendous force to blow up the plane in the sky and destroy it. When Marcos and the rest wake up, they see that she has gone into thin air. They go back to the temporary hideout they are currently living in, where Sage tells them that Andy and Lauren destroy their hideout. They hold a meeting to think about a solution for their trouble. But most of them seem to be losing hope and don't have faith in Marcos and John's plan. At this minute, Lorna comes in with Esm. She says that the days of hiding are over, and that the humans are attacking them. They'll attack back fiercer, because if they continue in this way, their kind will be finished. Over her talk, some of the mutants join her, including Andy himself. When Reed stops him, he reacts violently. That's why they leave him in peace. In the next season, we will learn what Lorna is up to. And what about John and his team? Will they rebel against them or join them? All that and more in the coming recap. Dear viewer, don't forget to share your thoughts with us in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. And let us know if you're interested in recapping the following season. Stay tuned.